have colleges do that.
Colleges are
College,
monitoring?
they have the capability of doing it.
They have got, what are they?
Well, what happened in 3 Mile Island, cities around New York State monitored the releases from there. Syracuse monitored also. They're there.
Yeah, okay, so,
Yeah.
There's one other thing too. Joe Mangano is setting up a citizens monitoring, citizen science.
oh, great.
So if you go to radiation.org, Susan Shapiro, greenfarms.org, she's setting up one locally in Westchester. You can take my card from the table, you can call that IPSC number, and we'll put you in touch with her for a local citizens. They're buying Geiger counters, and it's all networked with a computer.
So Susan Shapiro is doing that?
Mhm.
Well, that's
And Joe
great.
Mangano, you can reach him through the website.
Thank you.
I just heard today on WAMC, and I want to wonder what you people think about it. It was about our underground nuclear missiles, not ours, the whole world. And it also has no plan for what if anything happened. And they talked about one in Arkansas that almost
Yeah, went up.
went up because a workman had a wrench, was tightening something, the socket fell off, and that could have caused it. So we have all this, and not just ours, but the whole world. They can blow just like,
Well, they do have fail-safe devices on them. In other words, they're armed right now, but not ready to use, and computers will arm them in flight. So there is, in other words, they can land and explode without going critical, in a sense.
so we don't need to worry about it.
You still do. Of course you still do.
Because he spoke, the author of this book said, not just us, but Iran,
Well-
Pakistan, what are they
Yeah,
doing?
well,
What's,
yeah. Look what happened in Mexico last week. A truck carrying spent nuclear rods was stolen, was hijacked. And the only way they caught the people is because they got radiation sickness when they opened up the back. And they went to hospitals. What's going on? That's how they caught them. Yeah.
Ed?
where are we?
One of our speakers from Indian Point Coalition was talking about jobs. Nuclear power is second only to military as creating the least jobs per $1 million spent.
Right.
And renewable is way up there. Secondly, a lot of people in the back of their mind are thinking, well, fracking may be a little safer. The Marcellus Shale contains radon and radium-226, which radon that escapes from way down under and comes up is second only to cigarettes for lung cancer in New York State. But if they're mining it, it's going to be an all-the-gas derived. The study that Joel Tyner referred to, I believe, was written up in April 2013, Scientific American. It would save 4,000 lives a year just in New York State alone from illnesses induced by pollution and radiation, fossil and nuclear pollution. There was a more generalized version of that in Scientific American 2009, I forget what month. Now, as for what can be done locally, right here on this campus, there was an environmental site back in the 70s, and to make a long story short, Chase Manhattan and the other entities on the SUNY Board of Trustees were successfully able to dismantle a whole department that contained 40 courses, several of which were things like advanced solar design, alternate energy systems, and right here we now have probably more older people than students in this audience. But if at the university level, and if you're either a student here, a faculty, or maybe a taxpayer in New York, or maybe even a supporter of WAMC, which had a big, fat interview with Dr. Alice Chandler, who was president here at the college when that all went down, an hour, and not even a peep about how she shut down that environmental site, bulldozed all the solar houses that students had built, disallowed any use for a house that was funded by the Department of Energy in 1979, built by students taking those courses. The grant writing course and advanced solar design got together, built this house. They didn't let anyone use that for anything. They disallowed students voting their own activity fees to finish that house off when government funding, as it always does, ran a little short. and finally bulldozed that in January of 2006. So right here on this campus, whether you're a taxpayer and if you support WAMC, demand that our state government and the corruption in our university system be exposed. And this type of thing should not be, because if the young people are not educated about alternatives to nukes and to fossil, then that is how they have really set us back 30 years. We knew all this stuff 30 years ago. They've refined renewable energy, they've improved it a little, but we should not be here now. We should be all on solar and renewable now. And Scientific American has articles about how this could be done by 2030 that Joel just gave us all the stats for.
Thanks.
So right here on this campus.
Thanks, Ed.